Normally I come on here and I yell, "It's Friday, kids, and we made it." Yeah, I almost didn't make it. Yesterday was rough. Thank you to Tyler and however else we filled in and handled everything. It was not a particularly great day. Probably one of the first times really in this whole ordeal that I've gone through with my kidneys. And with my kidney or kidneys, I have no clue. Or at least I'm told, at least the way everything's gone, I have no clue. But the first time that I've really had what I would call a very bad day, the only upside was the British Open, the Open. The Open was on, but I almost didn't make it. That was close. But we're here. It's Friday. One step closer to college football season. 49 days from today. Now, not till game day. Not till game day. 7 weeks from today, you'll be listening intently to this radio show. You'll be dialed in. You'll want to know the complete breakdown of Kent State. You'll want to know all about the third-string left tackle, the associate head coach, the center. How does he snap the ball? And we'll be ready for that. That's 7 weeks away. 7 weeks away, you'll be calling up your buddy. Hey, early game. Kegs and eggs, eggs and kegs, sausage biscuits. We grilling out. We staying after the game long. Everybody got the TVs right. Satellite set up. We're good. We're good. Everybody, 1, 2, 3, team. See you tomorrow. You'll be threatening family members 7 weeks from today. Hey, we're leaving at like 7 in the morning. You better be ready to go. AIS, 7 a.m. That's a bleep in seat for those of you who don't know what AIS is. You can figure out what the bleep is. It's an A word. 7 weeks. 7 weeks. We'll get there. Next Monday, we start with SEC Media Days. Days, plural, multiple. Tyler Head will be there for our show. I will be here. I'm going to stay here. After yesterday, I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to go far away from home. SEC Media Days are... Kale, Kale, you're new. You're young. You're all excitable. You get excited about everything. By the way, just FYI, I'm like cranky today. Like I'm thrilled to be here because it got me out of the house and I'm talking sports and I'm happy to be with y'all. I love all of y'all. I love the interaction. I love the people that text in and that call in and that tweet in. I love everything about it. But I am cranky today. So if I go off on a tangent, don't hold this one against me today. Or if I seem to be a little if you say something and it gets under my skin and I kind of go off, just be like, he's having a bad day. He's having a questionable day. Kel, you're excitable. What is your opinion of SEC Media Days now at your young, ripe age?
I mean, I look forward to it because it's good content and it's good social media content to look at. But I don't go and watch it on TV unless I have absolutely nothing to do.
Okay, really?
Yeah, not really. Just because, well, lots of times during the day, during the weekdays, I'm either here or I'm at the gym or...
there's a reason you don't watch it. It's not, okay.
Yeah.
There's a difference. Yeah, I got to admit, I have it on. I'll watch it, and I do enjoy attending. I hate that I can't attend this year. I love it. I mean, it's boring. Don't get me wrong. There's an aspect of SEC Media Days that is wildly boring. Like,
I would love to go.
Yeah, it is wildly boring because we have gotten in our society, and especially in the college football world, you got a couple that'll still speak, a couple that'll say things, a couple that have no problem poking the bear, but it's not like it used to be. Coaches are well aware there's more television cameras, there's more access to what they say now than ever before. And so when you make a tiny joke or unless you're just flat out trying to make a point, Texas Tech and Texas right now when they're talking trash to each other, you're very selective in what you say and how you answer questions.
Because you know that it will be posted somewhere.
Right.
And people will try to construe it or misconstrue it in a way that makes you look bad.
Exactly. So I don't think we get the fun. I think my first media days was 10 years ago, actually. Was 10 years ago. No, actually, I went before that. I went when I was with the Big Spur. So I had been before. But it was a little more interesting, a little more entertaining. But nowadays, it's even Lane Kiffin is going to be Lane Kiffin's really interesting next week. But it's interesting more than just how much is he willing to speak. He's going to face the question. That's the thing about SEC media. I mean, y'all remember, the thing, media's days, SEC media days in particular, has calmed down pretty dramatically. They used to let, not that this made it any better, but they used to let any basically entity in there. It didn't matter who you were, didn't matter what you were from, didn't matter if your publication was legit or falsified. It was just, yeah, come on, one and all, everybody come on. And that's how you ended up getting, like, the stupid question to Tim Tebow about, is he a virgin? That's how you got the stupid questions that were asked to Steven Garcia about drinking. And I'm not asking for, like, hey, what do you think about the I formation offense and the pitch sweep? I'm not asking for specific, we can find out a little bit about these players' personality, but there's a line that you don't cross, I think, when asking questions, or at least that was my opinion when I was a media member. I'm not a media member anymore. Let me be clear about that. I'm not media anymore.
You're a media legend.
Yeah, that too. But SEC media days next week, but you get in there and you feel the energy. And look, you see the coaches walking through, and at least we're talking football. We're talking legit football. We're making picks for the SEC. At least we're getting into something that creates content and discussion. And so that'll be next week. Again, Tyler will be down there for us each and every day. We got a host of guests that we'll be having on as we continue to get through the off season and get you set for 2026. So what's going to be just a really, take it how you want, but a really fun year. A really, really fun year in terms of, I continue to say, as we watch the evolution of college athletics, not just college football especially because it's our sport, but college athletics with NIL, with transfer portal, with, conference realignment, everything. You throw in everything. Everything. Now Congress being involved in college sports, everything. We're seeing the complete evolution to the next phase of whatever college sports is going to be. And this part, at least next week, we're talking football. We're talking football. But South Carolina this year, if they are to win, what does it do? Well, most importantly, it generates interest in you, the fan, the listener, the person who can kind of direct where this thing is going, because you have the dollars that are donated to pay for these new luxury suites, to pay for these new clubs that they're building over there, the new club that I saw the Post and Courier put out. You pay. You're the ones that kind of make the engine run. And I know a lot of people say you get mad. We don't like this coach. We don't like this. Let's boycott. Let's not go. But that also means not buying season tickets. That means not buying season tickets. That means not donating to your team's club, Gamecock Club, IPTAY, whatever Clemson has up there, to Georgia's Bulldog Club. When you're not happy, you don't donate. No. It's totally, and I said this a lot last year, totally understandable for a lot of you right now to look at your finances, where you're putting your dollars, and if South Carolina's going 4-8 or 5-7 or 6-6, you get the point. Why am I donating $10,000 to the University for the Gamecock Club? Why am I spending $6,000 on season tickets? Why am I spending for a year, maybe I'm just ballparking this one, $4,000 to go tailgate and give up every Saturday? And that's $20,000 that you're like, well, we could put that to house renovations. We could put that to some great vacations. So I say all that because if South Carolina doesn't have the season that you expect, that you want, I think a lot of fans are on the right. I think there are tolerant fans, and I think there are intolerant fans. But I even think even the tolerant fans are watching the season going, it's show me time. You got, on paper, maybe one of the best teams South Carolina's had this century, since 2000. Maybe one of the best. And obviously, yes, that includes those 11-win teams. You might have a franchise quarterback. You might have a very stellar wide receiving group. You might have some good running backs. You might have a really good defensive line. You might have some pretty doggone good linebackers. I really like these linebackers, but they got to prove it. They got to prove it. Secondary looks good too. You might have one of the best teams we've had this century. And if that's the case, then what we talked about the other day, getting to 9 wins, getting to 10 wins, even if you don't get to the college football, you might not get to the college football playoff with 10 wins. There were teams last year that didn't get to the college football playoff with 10 wins. Some of them are teams you've heard of in your life. Notre Dame. Some of them are teams that you would be like, yeah, they're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. Vanderbilt. South Carolina can win 10 games this year and not get to the playoff. You stay at this 12-team playoff, it's very possible, very reasonable. Notre Dame is pretty much guaranteed in that playoff. So there's really only 11 spots. And then 4 obviously go to conference champions. So now you've taken away 5 spots, and there's 7 left. So you got to be one of the next 7 best teams in the country. We'll find out. It's coming up. It's going to be fun. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be fun. We might get to October, and we're all mad and upset. They've blown a game to Mississippi State, and they've lost to Alabama, and they've barely beaten Kentucky, and they're 3-2, and that game of Florida. And we might be going, well, I'd have to do a coaching search. Might have to go looking for stuff. I hate to tell you, that's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. 803-404-6100. Got a lot going to get to today. But I want to start with this. 7 weeks from today, it'll be Friday, September the 4th. We'll be gearing up for Kent State. Now, 8 weeks from today will be Towson. But 9 weeks from today, we'll be gearing up for the SEC's conference opener. That's a huge one. Mississippi State. South Carolina and Mississippi State have a very interesting history. When you really look at it, when you truly, truly look at it, and I will here in a second, the series between South Carolina and Mississippi State is wildly interesting. I've got my 5 best South Carolina victories over the Bulldogs since 1992. 5 best. 3 of them I think are hard to pick, whichever one's number 1. The first 3, you might have a certain reason for yours, you might have a certain reason for yours, and you might have a certain reason for yours. I want to hear. 4 and 5, pretty easy, a lot easier. 4's pretty simple. 5, you can go a lot of different ways. So if you just want to send me, you want to rank the 3 particular wins in order, we'll do that I'm about to explain to you. 803-404-6100. Cale Wilson in the house with me this afternoon. Tyler making his way back from Pro Swing. The Open roars along. Got to get that on TV going here in just a second. That links course looks so much fun. Of course, I can't really travel right now. I can't do things. So, when you can't do something, you want to do it more. But I was watching some of it when I was not falling apart yesterday. I was watching the Open. And, yeah, I think I've got to make a trip there. There's just nothing like being on the course, outside on the course, like instead of watching it on TV and seeing the aerial views and everything at one of these Open championships. It just, I can't imagine what it's like. And I'm like, well, we got to pick one and go to it. That's going to have to be a true bucket. Doesn't have to be St. Andrews. Doesn't have to be a specific one over there. I got to go check it out. But we'll talk about the Open as well. A lot of fun going on over there. 803-404-6100. You're listening to the Halftime Show. It's tougher to pick out your three best, your three or to rank your three favorite South Carolina victories over Mississippi State. And I'll give you the examples here in a minute because you might not have thought about it. South Carolina and Mississippi State were permanent rivals when we entered the league in 1992. It's always been a series that's kind of like, it doesn't really have anything to it. It doesn't have any juice to it. There's never been really, I think, what you would label a dislike of each other. It's just we and South Carolina played Mississippi State every year until what? Well, golly, I didn't even think to look to go back and look exactly that up. I forget when we stopped.
I think it might have been 2012 or 13.
Actually, that's exactly what I was. No, yeah, you might something like that.
Because I remember in 2011, Marcus Lattimore had his first knee injury against them, and then if I'm not mistaken, I know they played again in Columbia in 2012, and then I think they stopped playing.
I'm not sure we played them in 2010. I want to say we actually stopped, but look, I've got it right here. But anyway, we don't really realize the difference, like what some of these games have meant. And I'll give you an example. Mississippi State dominated the 90s. They just wrecked South Carolina for the early part of the 90s. Let me just real quickly. 92 South Carolina won. That's going to come up in a second. State then proceeds to roll off 6 out of the next 7 victories. So South Carolina wins the first one. They win in 95. Talk about that in a minute. And then State takes home 96, 97, 98, 99. They stopped playing annually in 2007, Cale. 2007 was
so
the last year, yeah. So is that. Well, so Mississippi State wins 7 of the first 8, essentially. They dominate the series. And really, quite frankly, some of the games were not particularly close. In 93, it was 23-0. In 97, it was 37-17. 98 was 38-0. 99, the 0-11 year, was 17-0. There was a couple close ones, but other than that, there's a lot of dominance. Flip the calendar to this century, to 2000 and on. South Carolina owned Mississippi State. I mean, owned them. 8-1.
Yeah, and the only
is that right? It's 8-1, 3.
The one loss,
8-9.
The one loss I think was 2016.
Yeah,
that was in Starkville.
Yeah. So South Carolina has owned Mississippi State. So there's that little interesting factoid to it that at the beginning of this series, Mississippi State dominated South Carolina. Then South Carolina flipped it. So since 2000, since South Carolina really turned it around under Lou Holtz, and of course we all know that game. But South Carolina has won 8 of the last 9, and as Cale just brought up, the one loss in that series is Will Muschamp's second game. I think it was second game as head coach. Gamecocks go out to Starkville. I think Brandon McElwain really started playing a lot that game, and South Carolina lost 27-14. But some of these games are really, really interesting. Now, let's start with the top 3. The top 3, and you can rank them however you want to rank them. You can rank them however you want to rank them, but I'm interested. 803-404-6100. How would you rank these 3 games? Mississippi State. Now, I want you to think about kind of where they either stand in South Carolina history or where they stand in national history. That's right, because one of them obviously kind of is a national-type game. I went number 1, best victory over Mississippi State. Think about it for a second. What are you going with? Think about it. 3, 2, 1. What are you going with? I go with South Carolina's first ever SEC victory, 1992. And people forget, that was a ranked Mississippi State team. Now, I actually didn't do the research on this. That might have been the highest ranked Mississippi State team, in particular, South Carolina beat. But on October 17th, 1992, Steve Taneyhill comes in. South Carolina gets their first victory of the season, broke a 9-game losing streak overall. Broke that season's 0-5 start and wins 21-6. Thank you, Steve Taneyhill. R.I.P. Steve Taneyhill. So that's my number 1. Number 2, And this is where it gets hard. To me, all three of these are hard. You can rank them any way you want. There's no wrong answer. Number 2 on that list, I actually go with 2001, the first college football game post 9/11. Preston Thorne was part of it. I talked to him. He's talked about it many a time. Flying out to Starkville, the fear after 9/11 that the players had getting on the airplane. Mississippi State didn't have to get on an airplane. South Carolina did. And whether you were like, well, that was however you wanted to view what happened with 9/11, getting on a plane was still a scary prospect. Preston's talked about it. The players had to take a vote. Were they going to play the game or not? Think back to that night. Their unveiling of the flag across just the emotional national impact of the game. It was a great game. South Carolina would pull it out that particular night, 16-14. But it was the first game. It had everybody's eyes on it. This country was mourning, and we were ready to return to the normal. And especially here in the South, college football is the normal. The importance, the magnitude of that game, the importance and magnitude, we lose sometimes. The date of that game, I was going to say, really honestly should be celebrated. The 25-year anniversary is September 20th. I mean, that game had so much meaning, not just to South Carolina and Mississippi State, but across the nation. And there's a lot of people that will tell you that game in particular signaled the start of healing. And it was a simple football game. But South Carolina, the University of South Carolina and Mississippi State University were involved in it. Lou Holtz, I think it was Jackie Sherrill. And we won. And by the way, it was a great, again, I think it was either Pinnock or Jenkins. I'd have to go back and look. One of them ripped off, both of them might have, ripped off a long run, defensive game. Phil Petty did what he had to do to win. It was a great game, but it was the signal. It was such, again, I think sometimes, folks, 25 years later, we lose the magnitude of what that game meant for us as a country coming back. And it had the eyes. I don't know what the viewership was. I didn't even think to look at that. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. But what the viewership was for a Thursday night ESPN game. And then just the emotional impact. And Eric Kimry on the Saturdays in the South documentary has talked about it. He talks about it in Saturdays in the South and how they unfurled the flag and Mississippi State was holding it on one side and South Carolina was holding it on the other side. And they do the national anthem. And what ends up happening is Kimry said that there was a silence, kind of an awkward silence, and then somebody else, some fan in the stands yells out, basically, I think it was maybe some obscene language, but something, bleep Osama bin Laden, whatever. And everybody cheered. That was a huge game nationally. And then number 3, well, I've got it at 3. But I mean, again, you want to make the case it's 1 or 2, I'm not going to argue with you. The fade, baby. The fade. I was there. I was in the end zone. I was in the student section. I take a little bit of credit for it because me and a buddy, we had been talking trash to Fred Smoot. Just threw him off his game. I get a little bit of credit for it. Lou Holtz's second year, but we were starting to win. South Carolina that day had made a lot of mistakes. I don't know if people remember. Derek Watson ran a kickoff back. There was a holding call on it. Obviously, we all know what happened with Phil Petty and then Eric Kimry. That story's legendary in South Carolina status. So that's number 3. And if you want to say, man, that moment, but I got to put the other 2 above it. But think about that play. That's the hit, the Jadeveon Clowney hit, Eric Kimry fade. What else do we have? There are others that is like the play, the moment, that play. Andre Ellington was a part of it. The DJ Swearinger hit. Number 4, I went with the Steve Tannehill career night in Starkville. That was the lone win in the 90s on October 14th, 1995, 65-39. Tannehill threw for over 400 yards. Offense had over 600 yards. It was a career night for Tannehill. That was number 4. Number 5, there was another one. I'll get to it in the next segment. But 803-404-6100. How would you rank South Carolina's wins over Mississippi State? And again, you got the big 3. Post 9/11, well, in my rankings, first SEC victory ever, post 9/11 game, or there at Emory Fate. 803-404-6100. Weigh in on that. You're listening to the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner for Old Tommy Meat Market. Let me tell you, it's hot outside, blazing hot. But you know what? That doesn't stop you from grilling, getting out and enjoying some backyard time with the family. It cools off in the evenings, and there's no better place to start that whole process than making a trip to Old Tommy Meat Market. It's Friday, Old Tommy Meat Market time, folks. You want to know where I'm going to be after the show? Lexington store. You can see me there. Now, you might not live that close. That's okay. There's a store in South Congaree and one on St. Andrews Road in Irma. I've been in that one too. Very, very good. You can find a great steak. You can find some great pork chops, maybe some fish. Whatever you're looking for, Old Tommy Meat Market has it. And what I love and why I go there, what stands out to me is the family environment, the way they talk to me, the way they've known me, the way they know my kids. I could send my son in there without me, and they would talk to him like he's an adult. They are a family-friendly meat buying experience. That's what you want. Visit Old Tommy Meat Market today and tell them Bill Gunner sent you. 803-404-6100 on your Friday. Thomas weighs in, multiple text messages. Not a game stealer per se, but I'm not going to miss an opportunity to mention my all-time favorite sequence of events in Gamecock football, the DJ Swearinger sequence. 3 personal fouls in a row, ending with a pick 6. You also were getting through the football in the stands after that, and I think that was when Spurrier had to quote, well, we're going to give DJ a ball. No, that was Kenny McKinley after the Houston game. Well, we were going to give Kenny a ball, but he threw his in the stands. But, yeah, that was a really good. But I'm thinking the other thing I was thinking of when I brought up, and I didn't mean to bring that topic up because it's actually pretty good, what other plays in South Carolina history can we point to and, like, specifically have a name for? The hit with Clowney on Vincent Smith, the fade with Eric Kimry. I think was the Swearinger hit. I'm doing this off the top of my head because I didn't prep this topic. This was not the topic that I showed up wanting to talk about, but I'm kind of going down a path real quick. Was the DJ Swearinger hit the same year as the Clowney hit was the Swearinger hit on Ellington up in Clemson where he flips him around and poses over him? That's got to be one of them, but I just don't know what you'd call it.
I know before
the flex. Let's call it the flex.
Because I know before Jadeveon Clowney made that hit, they were calling that the hit. I remember seeing it in a.
So it happened before.
Yes, it happened before.
So we're going to call that. We're going to now refer to that as the flex.
Yeah.
The flex.
Because it had said in one of the state newspapers, it had a picture of him flexing and it said the hit.
Yeah.
But then they changed it once Jadeveon Clowney.
All right. We're gonna alter that. That will now be. So I've got 3 plays that I can think of: the flex, the hit, and the fade. 803-404-6100. Thomas also weighs in, I guess, with his number 1 game. I can throw the fade, Coach. And yeah, there's no really wrong answer. Again, real quick, if you're just tuning in, the 3 best victories, the three best victories over this 17-year Mississippi State series. Which again, because as I just broke it down, if you look at it, South Carolina's had some wildly memorable moments against Mississippi State. Unbelievably, for a team that we have little to zero history with, could care less about, probably going to Starkville is, if not at the bottom, darn near close to the bottom of your travel list in the SEC. And I've been. Oh boy, have I been. South Carolina has some moments against Mississippi State. Again, the fade, obviously. Y'all know that. But the other 2, again, I mentioned the post 9/11 game. And as I talked to myself through the last segment, I almost wanted to move the post 9/11 game to number 1 over the one I do have at number 1, which is the 21-6 victory in 1992, which was South Carolina's first ever victory in the SEC. What is your top 3? 803-404-6100. Yep, Texter says the Lenoris run on versus Clemson might be one of those great plays. I could get on board with that. What do we call that, Kale? What are we going to label that? The run?
You could.
The sprint for fun? I don't know. What do we want to call that?
Sprint for fun is crazy.
Tyler, welcome in. You're back from Pro Swing.
Yes.
Just turn your mic on so we can all hear you.
My mic is on. Is it not? There we go. There we go. Guys, it's called Third and Sellers. I've been trying to get that to stick for 2 years now.
Okay.
It's Third and Sellers.
Third and Sellers.
Third and Sellers. Say it over and over again until it sticks. Third and Sellers. I was the first one to use that, and I wanted to stick.
I understand now. Okay, Third and Sellers. I'll go with that until told otherwise. Third and Sellers. But going back to these football games, Tyler, welcome back in. It is weird for me when I started doing research on Mississippi State. I started this week. We were talking about Carmelo Taylor, the quarterback, and then you're just going back and looking at the series. South Carolina's won 8 of 9. 8 of the last 9, 8, and they're all this century. Mississippi State had dominated previously to that, and now you get this. But to have a game, to have some moments, some really specific moments in South Carolina history against a team that, quite frankly, there's like Missouri that's kind of developed into something.
Sure. Well, and
we don't like Drinkwitz, and he apparently doesn't really care for us. And I know there's a trophy involved, but that's kind of developed into something.
Sure. Yeah. And again, you were playing each other every single year in the East and all the way through, last year. And obviously that's going to take a break, going forward now. But yeah, and Mississippi State's one of those programs that we look like it. And I know they had their little run there with Dan Mullen where they were the first ever number one team in the college ball playoff and all that with Dak Prescott and all that. But I think for the most part, that's one of those programs you look across the aisle at if you're South Carolina or a South Carolina fan and say, hey, we should be beating them. Right, like that's not a program that should be holding something over us. That's not a game that we should be worried about, compared to like Alabama, Georgia, and all that kind of stuff. You see Mississippi State as a program that's on similar footing to you, where you're saying, hey, there's no reason why we shouldn't be regularly winning that game when we play them. And like you said, as in recent history, that has more been the case.
Yeah, I think the one loss to them, you kind of looked at it and you kind of justified. But, yeah, you kind of justified the loss to Mississippi State in Muschamp's first year going out there. But 803-404-6100. All right, we all jumped on the play thing. A lot of people still want to go with third and Sellers or third and 16. Yeah, what'd you say, third and Sellers?
Third and Sellers.
All right.
16 is his number. That's what was the distance was. It makes perfect sense.
So third, I'm going to write that down. Third and Sellers. All right. But my initial question, rank those three games. 803-404-6100. How would you rank South Carolina? Because, again, as I mentioned, it's really kind of, to me, it's strange and kind of crazy that South Carolina's had huge victories over Georgia. They beat LSU down in Baton Rouge. They've beaten Alabama at number one. You get all that. But I want you to think about the importance of these games. Like, we have a specific play that, because I tell you what we might do. We might come up with this, and then next week come back and have a tournament or something, or a ranking of the play in South Carolina history.
All right, we can do that.
But with that being said, these games, you've got to get in the fade. You got the national game that's post 9/11, and then you got the first ever victory in the SEC. And again, Tyler, mine was the first ever victory in SEC's number one. The national game is number 2, and the fade is number 3. Texter weighs in and says Kimry's fade pass is definitely number 1. I don't even remember any of the other games. How can you not remember the post 9/11 game? Number 2 would be the first SEC victory. Number 3, Tanny. Oh, Mr. Texter, or Ma'am Texter. Oh, my goodness. Number 3 is the Tannehill record game in Starkville. Yeah, that was a good one. 473 yards, 413 yards, 473 yards, one of those two numbers, passing that night. 600 yards of total offense. Unbelievable. Unbelievable night. And then number 5, I don't know. I think I picked the Lattimore injury game is number 5, because that was actually a pretty hotly contested game, and because, as Kel said, Lattimore got injured. But pick your 3 there. 803-404-6100. Tyler's back. We're going to get into a few more things. Paul Feinbaum. ACC Media Days went crazy yesterday. I didn't really see it until this morning, but James Franklin took a shot at somebody. I'm not sure who. We'll talk about that. Paul Feinbaum will not be exchanging Christmas cards, Thanksgiving love letters, or anything with Dabo Swinney. Kale, when was this Paul Feinbaum clip? From yesterday or this morning?
This happened this morning. I actually saw it on the TV this morning as I was at the gym.
Yeah, you heard it?
I have not heard it. I read a little bit about it because I was doing the show. But, yeah, he was not convinced by what Dabo said at Media Days yesterday. We'll just put it that way.
We will let you hear it. It was Paul Feinbaum has thrown a nuclear bomb on Clemson, and we'll let you hear what he had to say about Dabo and the Tigers. 803-404-6100 is the halftime show. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, the leader, the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry for over 30 years. That's right, at Mid-State Roofing, they've been taking care of homes just like yours and mine, of businesses, making sure that that roof is there to keep your operation dry and running, and do that long into the future. Not only that, but as you're listening today, wherever you're listening in this great state, Mid-State Roofing is there to serve you, whether it's here in Columbia, Charleston, Florence, Myrtle Beach, North Augusta, wherever you're at. Mid-State Roofing is there. Just give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. Again, that's 803-356-1919. Get in touch with them. Line up a maintenance contract. They are there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's right, 24 hours, 7 days. Want to make sure that they are ready to help you. So give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. It is the halftime show, your show of the 803. I think Jay and I have been here the longest, actually, out of all of it. When I say here, I don't mean the 107.5 game. I think Jay's a Columbia boy. I'm a Lexington kid. Yeah, we've been around here. We remember these things. We remember 1992, the doldrums, South Carolina. If y'all remember 92, this is the other thing. Let's go back and look at that game for a second. We'll wrap up this kind of discussion and move on to some stuff. ACC Media Day. ACC Media Day coming up. Some information on that, and listening to Dabo as well, some James Franklin stuff. But if y'all remember 92, and of course we, for the most part, try to block it out. We don't want to remember that. That was ugly. First year, South Carolina goes rolling into the SEC, fresh off of being an independent for nearly 21 years. Open the season, Georgia pretty much pummels South Carolina 28-6. Arkansas does pummel Arkansas. Arkansas does pummel South Carolina 45-7. South Carolina loses to East Carolina 20-18. Kentucky up at the Commonwealth sneaks out a victory 13-9. Alabama pummels South Carolina 48-7. Look at three of these four. 28-6, 45-7, 48-7. And then toss in losses to East Carolina, Kentucky. It was bad. I do remember the excitement. I was at the game. I do remember the excitement of South Carolina's first SEC game against number 14, Georgia, to open the season and start of the SEC play. And then the Gamecocks offense couldn't do anything, and the Bulldogs just kind of rolled, no problem. But listen to those scores again. 28-6, 45-7. 48-7, and then Kentucky and East Carolina. Kentucky, by the way, 13-9. East Carolina 20-18. So things are bad. It is more than evident that South Carolina can't compete at this moment in the SEC. More than evident. And here comes number 15 ranked Mississippi State. There's a mutiny on the hands of South Carolina. There's also a freshman quarterback with a ponytail or a mullet. Whatever, one of the two.
A mullet tail.
Mullet tail. And he's cocky, and he's arrogant, and he's from Pennsylvania. And he came here because he knew that he could play here and beat out everybody else he had seen in practice. Put him in, coach. And Sparky Woods inserts him. 21-6 later, at the end, that was a noon game, by the way. At about 4 o'clock, South Carolina had a victory, their first ever in the SEC. And people were happy. And there was a lot of partying done in 5 Points. I was way too young for that, but.
And he was probably part of that party.
Oh, yeah, he was leading the charge. Again, we talk about centennial moments, big moments in South Carolina history. Like it or not, first SEC victory needs to, kind of be held up there. And that was against, again, it wasn't like you beat Vanderbilt. They did beat Vanderbilt the next week, 21-17. Then, of course, you beat number 16, Tennessee, 24-23. You beat Louisiana Tech, 14-13. Lost to Florida, and then beat Clemson up there, and we all know those games. Strictly, though, talking about Mississippi State, the fact that you beat them, and that was your first victory, and they're ranked, everything that went into it, that's why I have that number one on my list.
Yeah, you're right. It's a pinnacle moment because, and I wasn't alive for this, but I'm sure there are a lot of questions going into Carolina joining the conference and Arkansas as well. It's like, hey, do these schools belong here? Do they meet the standard of what the SEC is and all that kind of stuff? And not that winning one game proved anything, from a full conference or national standpoint, but it got you over the hump. Right, he got you started. There's something to be said about finally winning that first one that hopefully all the victories come after that a little bit more easier. But finally getting over the hump, that being against Mississippi State, there is value to that. And again, something that every Gamecock fan can look back and say, hey, that's where it began for us in the conference that we're seemingly going to be in forever.
And then again, Tyler, I'm sure maybe as a football fan, even though you probably were a whopping like 4 in 2001, again, I call it was a national game. If it had just been played on a Thursday night, it'd have been a regular game. If it had been played on a Saturday, nobody would have paid attention to it. But it was South Carolina, it was Mississippi State, it was the first bet game back from 9/11. And again, not only were we invested, the whole country was, just to get back to some form of normalcy. And again, Preston Thorne can talk about it more because he was truly a part of what happened with traveling and everything that was going on with the football team. He was inside the locker room. But I've got that at number one.
Yeah.
Number two. That's just that game, you start talking about it, what it meant, I think not just for us, but for the country, for everything. And, of course, South Carolina wins it. And it was a good game.
Sure.
Like, it wasn't like a 37-3 blowout. It kept you entertained.
It had more meaning beyond here at South Carolina. And you're right. It was a moment of feeling. I don't remember it. There's a good chance that I was watching it with my dad or something, but I would have been 5 years old at the time, so I don't have any memories of it. But again, of going back and hearing Preston talking about it and diving into it, the game's on YouTube. I've watched the pregame to it, and it's very special, very emotional. And again, we talk about those moments post 9/11. That George Bush throwing out the first pitch. In the couple days after that, was it the Yankees game or the Mets game?
Thought it was Yankees, but it might have been the Mets.
One of the New York teams. But anyway, moments like that of like sports helping us heal, and South Carolina winning that night was a pinnacle part of that.
Hour 2 on the way. We'll talk some ACC media days from yesterday and some things said. It's the halftime show.
Time right here for our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialists. Tell you about them all the time, but I'm happy to remind you once again, you always need to be on the lookout for things around your home that are a little bit off. Things like cracks in your exterior brick, cracks in and above windows and door frames, doors or windows that might be sticking, uneven or bouncy floors, or cracks over your garage door. If you notice any of these problems with your home, you could have serious foundation issues. And that's where our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialist come in. Go online to cantycanfixit.com and schedule your appointment. They'll send a professional out to your home to evaluate those issues and make sure they get it fixed so you and your family don't have to worry going forward. Again, do not hesitate. Those conditions will only continue to get worse with your home's foundation. Go online to cantycanfixit.com. Let our friends at Canty Foundation Specialist help you out with your home's foundation needs.
Hour number 2. Hour number 2 is how you can weigh in if you want to do so this afternoon. I'm trying to look at what this text was telling me. He said, "Yeah, QB slipped right before the throw." Petty, Petty on the fade had gone down with a ankle injury,
Right.
a rolled ankle, and people forget it was so severe he missed most of the Alabama game. He came in late and almost rallied the team to a comeback, but that's obviously what led to Kimry being in the game. 803-404-6100. Been talking how 7 weeks from today we will be prepping for the first game. Excitement at an all-time high.
Yes.
Work production, unless you do radio where you're actually talking about it, all-time low. You'll be contacting the family. Hey, we are leaving tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., AIS, to head to tailgate. Be there or watch the game from home. You'll be contacting your buddies. What are we doing for tailgate? We're doing kegs and eggs. We're doing sausage biscuits. We grilling hot dogs. We're doing a bourbon and Sprite there at 7 a.m. What do we got going? 7 weeks from today. So it'll be here before you know it. And before that, I tell you what, we really get going. We'll get some NFL going and then the high school season. So we are
Week 0.
right there. Well, yeah. And
Only
college
43 days 43 days.
43, 50 till actual game day. 50 till game day. But I'm now even backing it up a day and getting fired up for the Friday before. 803-404-6100. Been talking South Carolina, Mississippi State. That's the actual first conference game because I don't know what we'll get in the first 2 games. I think we'll get more. Everybody will be excited for the Kent State game. It's the opener. We'll get to see kind of a little bit of the unveiling of the offense. You'll get to see some of the new guys. You know, it's just, hey, we're back in the ballpark. Your family that sits around you that you only see 7 times a year at the stadium in those seats. You get to see them. So, you know, there's all that. That'll be great. And then Towson, a night game. Yeah, that's going to be kind of.
That's hang around for the first half, and then we're going to go do stuff downtown or back at our place, by 10 o'clock or something.
Yeah, that's the kid game. That's the one I would always take the kids to. Now Austin's old enough; he can go to the games where you guys get a little drunk up and loud and whoop and cheer and all that stuff. But back then, that was my little kids game, and those are great for that. You can get cheaper tickets to that. Like you said, it's a great environment. I always like those environments. A little more laid back, not as rowdy, not as loud, and the kids get to enjoy it. And you're pretty much guaranteed, not all the time, Citadel. You're guaranteed that you're going to walk out with the victory.
Those games, again, good for kids and young fans and stuff like that. There is a breath of fresh air when you finally go up like 3 scores.
Yes.
It's like 17-0, late first quarter. Like, all right, everything's fine.
Yeah.
When it's, I don't know, 13-10 going into halftime, you're like, okay, a little bit different.
Well, it's kind of like last year, and I know, strange game, so forth and so on. But the South Carolina State game, I never thought South Carolina would lose that game. It was ugly.
Right.
Obviously, the first quarter was conceivably the ugliest quarter of football South Carolina's played. You might actually make the argument that they've played since the '99 season when they went 0-11. It was that bad. It was that bad. Maybe actually I would go back to 2003 in the first quarter against Clemson when Clemson put up 63. But anyway, the point being is that was a bad first quarter.
Yeah.
And so, but I don't know how many people at the end of that first quarter are like, well, we're going to lose.
Yeah, it was one of those things that you're not worried about that. You're like, you should be winning the game by more because remember, it wasn't until Vakari's punt return that they got on the board for a touchdown anyway. And I don't think it was until the third quarter that they actually scored an offensive touchdown. That was, again, another one of those games where, because it took until late in the season for the offense to score more than 17 points, that one kind of got covered up because you had 2 punt return touchdowns and a defensive score that made the 38 look a little bit better, but most of that was not done by your offense.
Right. And but also, if you remember that game, South Carolina State led.
Yeah, they did. It was
3-0.
3-0. Did they get a touchdown before halftime too? Maybe it was only 3-0.
I think it was 3-0.
And for a while, and then
it was 3-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. You weren't like oh no, we're going to lose this game. I wasn't, I don't think you should have been, but it was just you're kind of frustrated, especially coming off that Virginia Tech game. You're kind of like, all right, I want to see, this offense humming a little bit more, and you're not getting it. So, and you finally got it, but it was a weird night. It wasn't what anybody expected or hoped for. I guess South Carolina State walked out claiming it somewhat of a victory for them, but that was not the way that you wanted to play that game if you were South Carolina. And I think Tyler said it before. We brushed it off. Or JC said it. One of y'all two said it this week. We've kind of brushed that game off. Maybe we should have taken a deeper look. South Carolina, by the way, scored 17 in the second quarter to be up 17-3 at halftime. But again, as you mentioned, it was 2 Vakari Swain punt returns and a William Joyce 49-yard field goal before Oscar Attaway had a touchdown run to start the third quarter to go up 24-3.
Yeah, again, I think we kind of explained it away a little bit. The weather, the delay, weird night. All right, you just were off because you got thrown out of rhythm. But, yeah, it ended up being more of an indication of what was going to come that season. I forget what game it was, but it took most of the season for them to eclipse 17 points on offense. And, again, that was one of those nights that was very evident.
So we'll continue to talk about not only that game, but obviously, as I brought up, the Mississippi State game when 803-404-6100. What is your favorite victory out of the 10 victories over Mississippi State? You can rank the top 3. Again, my top 3 was the first game in 92, the first SEC victory with Tanny Hill. Number 2 was the post 2001 game, or post 9/11 game, and then number 3 was the fade. 803-404-6100. How you can weigh in. You going to get it all into the World Cup on Sunday? Is this? You probably be traveling.
Yeah, I'll be driving, so I'll have to listen to it, I guess. But yeah, I mean, and I said this earlier that. And partly because of what America was doing, this is the most I've ever gotten into it, right? I've always paid attention because, again, it's the biggest tournament event in the entire world when it comes to sports. And, again, America not being great at it over the years is kept me from getting fully invested. But I kind of got swept up in the fever of, what was happening with them. So it was a lot of fun. Now, yeah, my interest has waned a little bit now that America's been eliminated a couple weeks ago, but it's a really fun event to follow, and you've got a great story, and obviously Lionel Messi and this Argentina team that's multiple times kind of come back from the dead late in games. They were down against Egypt. They were down against England the other day, and, Messi a big part of winning both those games, and now he's going to play in his final World Cup game on Sunday. The crowd's going to be crazy, and it just seems like a perfect storybook ending to, again, legitimately one of the greatest of all time playing on the national stage like this.
Yeah, I'll probably be into it a little bit. I will admit that England-Argentina game, wasn't here yesterday to discuss that at all. That was a thriller. That was great. I mean, that was cinema, baby. That was everything you want. And I'm not an England fan. I probably by now should have texted. I never know how to treat people when
yeah.
Like, how do you treat someone when like they legitimately are into a team? Like Tony Annan, it's his country, it's his sport, it's everything. He loves it. I mean, he's into it. Some people you can check hey man, that stunk or whatever, and they're like, I don't know what to do. Yeah, that's how we are.
It is always a safe bet to wait till the next day.
You think?
Yeah, because any reaction they're going to give you within the moments after the game, even hours after the game, is going to be very emotional. And again, it's not towards you. It's just the emotion of witnessing that loss. I always like to go next day, hey, sorry about that, man. That sucked. Console them a little bit. But I don't think they want to hear from anybody in the moments after.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Of course, yesterday was a rough day, but I have not reached out to Tony because that's a different. We all know people. We all know people that are fans, but they don't they put. Not that Tony doesn't, but they understand.
Sure.
And a tough loss is a tough loss. And then you got people who are you worry about them when their team loses.
Yeah, it's I'm concerned for your health in the next 24 hours. I'm concerned about how you're going to react to this. Those kind of people. And look, there's people in every fan base that are like that. I'm a Falcons fan, right? I don't live and die by what the team does anymore. 28-3 completely broke me. So if they lose a game on a Sunday, I can change the channel and not think about it the rest of the day. It doesn't bother me anymore. But I know plenty of people that are Falcons fans that legitimately are like banging their head against a wall when they lose. So again, every fan base has it. And again, you have to be very careful with how you deal with those people after, especially huge losses like what England had the other day.
That I look forward to. We'll get into that. 803-404-6100. Something else we do have going on is kind of developing here on our show. So we're going to do this next week, but I'm getting everything in line now. Give me the play. Now, I don't need the negative plays. Unfortunately, we can come up with a bunch of those.
Yeah, no doubt.
We can come up with a bunch of them. But I'm looking for the play. We're going to put them together, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a tournament. Every day next week, we're going to have 2 plays go against each other. I've got 6 right now. I've got 6 historical plays. Now, y'all go back, and if you can remember another one from much earlier in history, please tell me.
What have you got so far?
So, but if you can remember one from much earlier in history, let me know so I can add it. I've got the fade. We've been talking about that.
Okay.
I've got the hit. Everybody knows that. It's Jadeveon Clowney.
Yep.
Third and Sellers.
Yep. Thank you.
I've got what I'm calling the flex, which is DJ Swearinger over on I'm calling it the return right now. You can change the name of it, the return, but that's the Ace Sanders punt return against Georgia.
Yep.
In I think 2011 was the year. 2012.
Yep.
That needs to be on there. Over the top. Do you know which one that one would be? Now, this is you weren't born.
Yeah, not familiar with that
This is Brandon Bennett against Georgia.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I have.
In 94. Over the top.
Because there's a clip online of Larry Munson calling that play from Georgia's
And I'm
perspective.
going to ask you to get the clips of all these.
Speaking of people that live and die by a team,
Right.
you can hear the air being taken out of Larry Munson when that happened.
Yep. And vice versa. You can hear the air, just the sound of it. Liz McMillan in the back, everybody, just when Bennett goes over the top. Really, really great moment in South Carolina history. So what is another play that we want to put on this list, and then what are we going to come up with the name for it? Think about it.
It's not going to win, but I think Rockets' play against Missouri is. I mean, that was a great moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, look, South Carolina's got a lot of great moments. There are great moments. Josh Brown's kick to beat Tennessee in Knoxville. It wasn't the end of the game kick, but Josh Brown's kick to beat Tennessee up in Knoxville, 16-15, way back in the day was incredible. There's other ones, obviously. I think it was Daniel Brown, or Daniel Weaver. I'm not sure. The field goal kicker in 2001 who had the last-second kick to beat Ohio State in the Outback Bowl, but I don't know if we really lived that one quite the moment. Somebody did bring up the Dylan Thompson 3rd and 17 run, which actually technically, even though he didn't score a touchdown, was more impressive than the Lenora Sellers 3rd and 16 run because Crazy Legs Thompson was not known as the runner that Lenora Sellers is.
Well, what adds to the thing with Sellers is the stakes of the game, right? At that point in time, we thought Carolina was still in a position to make the college ball playoff. It's a rivalry game. It's late in the fourth quarter. It was a perfect storm of things happening at once that made that moment. Like, if he has that exact same play against Kentucky in September, it's a cool play, but we're not putting it on the pedestal that it was. But because it's against Clemson, because the team was so good, because they were still fighting for a playoff spot on a 5-game winning streak at that point in time, that's what made that play what it was and the legend that it became.
I'm gonna put this one down because it is a legendary play. I mean, it's honestly the one that I grew up hearing about, and we're gonna call it the pick six against Clemson in '87, and that is the Brad Edwards interception in return for a touchdown. And at that time, Tyler, that was used as here's how crazy Williams-Brice Stadium can get.
Yeah. I've seen the clip.
Yeah, you got that clip, and you've also got the clip that's basically like the intro to South Carolina that night. ESPN comes in, and it shows the 2001 intro and Joe Marsh and everything. So we'll get that. If you got more, send them in. I'm going to I'll probably come up with about 8. We'll narrow it down to 8, and next week we'll have a little tournament, and we'll figure out the best play in South Carolina football history. 803-404-6100. When we come back, Paul Feinbaum shares his opinion, his real opinion. He shares his opinion. He's not a big believer in Dabo Swinney right now. We'll let you hear. It's the Halftime Show. All right. You have ACC, got SEC Media Days next week, ACC Media Days this week. Cool. We finally get to talk some football. Awesome. Trust me, at times, I love the movie conversation. I love some of the other conversations we have. We get funny and goofy, but excited to talk some football. Really excited for this football season, really, actually. I mean, to me, there's so many storylines. There's so many storylines this year. Outside of South Carolina, we got a massive one here. But let's be clear, even though he's showing up on hot seat list, Shane Beamer and South Carolina are not national storylines. They're quite frankly, right now, as of today, they're irrelevant. You know, you're not going to see them in any dark horse playoff contender contest. If Shane Beamer were to have a bad season, get fired, nobody's going to care. Like, it's just, you see what I'm saying? When nobody cares, like, it's not.
It's not a story that's going to require a full segment on Sports Center.
Right. Yes.
Like,
good.
oh my God, South Carolina fired Shane Beamer. It's something that would show up in the ticker at the bottom.
Well,
basically.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And they wouldn't cut in to tell you. Now, if something goes completely wrong with Steve Sarkisian,
big deal.
Huge deal.
Yeah. Oh my God, Texas fired Steve Sarkisian.
There's a lot there. Whatever happens at LSU, not that I don't think he's going to be fired. I mean, that would be kind of crazy. But whatever happens with Lane Kiffin, big story.
Big deal. Whatever
happens at Alabama,
big deal.
Lincoln Riley and Southern Cal is another one that people are.
Big deal.
You know, so, Kyle Whittingham's first year at Michigan. Again, as he said. And then there's also James Franklin, and we'll get to him here in a little while. But I love that there's so many storylines this year going into the season. And one of them is indeed, where is Clemson? And it feels like we keep giving Clemson a pass. It feels like, last year, are they back? Everybody said last year. Last year is the year. Are you turning it around? Is this the year you've turned it around? Have you gotten your program straight? You're in the transfer portal. You're understanding things. You're trying to keep it. No, it wasn't. Shoot, they lost more games than they had draft picks. And it feels like this year, you know what we're doing? Is this the year? Is Clemson back?
Well, last year. Go ahead.
I was going to say, is this the year Dabo can turn it around? He's got to do it this year or never. I feel like we said that last year.
Well, and remember, because they had the most returning production. They had all those guys that would go on to be drafted, some of them pretty highly, coming back for another year. Cade Klubnik was thought of as being, hey, this guy could be a serious Heisman contender. And last year was supposed to be the I told you so year for Dabo, right? Because he had started to embrace the transfer portal a lot, but he was still resistant compared to a lot of other coaches around college football about the changing nature of the sport. And he was still, okay, we're going to do things the same way we've been doing them, and I'm going to prove to you in 2025 it's still going to work. Well, it didn't. And again, he's still evolving a little bit, maybe not to the degree where most coaches are, but he's opening up a little bit more, but he's still not completely in as much as probably the fan base wants him to be when it comes to, hey, we can go portal heavy here. If we really need some guys, don't be afraid to go out there and get some of them. He's still very much trying to go the traditional route of building, developing, and all that kind of stuff, which, again, is still important. But in certain areas, maybe you shouldn't be afraid to look at the portal, too.
And we'll get into that clip, too, because he talks about that as far as it pertains to quarterbacks, and he basically openly says, if this doesn't work, we messed up. But here is Dabo yesterday talking about meeting expectations at Clemson.
It's not about what we say. And, haters hate, right? As I said, there's a bunch of hate. I don't know who wrote that song, but, the one thing about haters, when you win, it don't matter what they say. And when you lose, it don't matter what you say. So don't focus on that. Let's focus on let's go get better. And the good news is, hey man, we've got a lot to stand on. We've won this league 3 times this decade. And we talk about all that we haven't done. And even with 7 wins last year, we're still one of the top 10 winningest programs in college football this decade. We're 7th in wins. And I think we're 2nd in championships this decade. Georgia's 1st, we're 2nd. We're number 1 in draft picks. We're number 1 in graduation. We're number 1 in retention. Now, these aren't like make-believe things, all right? So, but you know what else is true? We stunk last year. That's true, too. We've lost some games that, man, we should have won. But how about we give the opponent some credit? How about we give some other coaches some credit? Football is not easy. It's hard. We've had 15 winning seasons in a row, and I think there's only 4 teams out of 138 that can say that. 15. it's not easy to win. So we're not perfect, and y'all know I'm far from perfect. But we're consistent, and it's a new year. We're excited about it, and hey, we're put our head down, see if we can go find a way to win some games.
Okay, there's a lot there, but I just wanted to point out, coming off of a disappointing season, the last thing your fan base wants to hear about is graduation rates. I'm sorry, but I wouldn't have included that.
It's fine. I mean, I get it. He's not lying about any of it.
He's not.
And he openly admits they stunk. They stunk last year. But he pointed out all the great things they did.
Have done.
Well, one person didn't really care for it. Here's Paul Feinbaum this morning. What show is this, Kale? He's on ESPN somewhere?
Yeah, this was on Get Up this morning.
Paul Feinbaum, everybody, talking to Clemson and Dabo Swinney.
Somebody should dunk him in that Raising Cane sauce, because I am getting so just exasperated listening to Dabo tell us how great he used to be. They're not great anymore. You don't hear Brady talking about his Super Bowls or LeBron or any of the great. I mean, Dabo is just stuck on stupid right now, trying to convince us that his program is still legitimate. It's not. It's slipping and sliding away. It's good. Maybe they'll win 9 games this year. Maybe they won't. But they lost 6 games last year with the Heisman favorite. That is downright embarrassing.
Okay, do you understand the cane sauce reference, what he's talking about?
No, I didn't.
So they have the big Fanatics Fan Fest in New York.
Uh-huh.
They had Gronk in a dunk booth that was full of Raising Cane sauce, and Tom Brady dunked him by throwing a football at it. So I'm assuming they just played that clip. So that's what he was referencing when he said they should dunk Dabo in the cane sauce.
Gotcha.
I will say, and I've always been curious as to where Dabo's feeling about Clemson comes from, because I know he didn't go to South Carolina. He went to Tennessee. And Tennessee...
He went to Alabama.
I thought he went to Tennessee.
No,
You're wrong.
He played for Gene Stallings at Alabama.
Paul Feinbaum did?
No.
Oh.
You said Dabo.
Oh, sorry. I meant Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah, Paul
sorry.
Feinbaum.
I meant Paul Feinbaum. That's what I meant. Yeah, Paul Feinbaum went to Tennessee. So I'm a little bit confused on the feeling he has for Dabo and the kind of like the...
Well, look, I mean, Paul Feinbaum to me, and I've met him, and I think he's a genuinely good human
He's a very
being.
nice guy.
And we may have him on next week.
We might.
I don't know. We might. But Paul Feinbaum to me is basically Lee Corse. And maybe they should just put him on game day as part of the Lee Corse, give him a head to put on there at the very end or something. That's who Feinbaum is. I don't take him seriously. I don't really take his comments seriously. He makes stuff. Him there. That's Feinbaum.
Yeah.
He's doing it partially to get under Clemson's skin, and he did it. He's going to do it. Clemson fans are going to get all upset, and they're going to get all raged up by over this. And Paul Feinbaum wins, and he has beaten Clemson again. Paul Feinbaum, because Clemson fans are just going to lose their mind over this. I don't know if I wouldn't say that he's wrong, but to me, Paul Feinbaum making comments.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is. Funny, however, and he addresses that.
Well, and look, Get Up is a show of like, hey, throw your spiciest opinions out there and let's talk about it. Like, that's kind of what the show is for. So when he comes on there, he's going to come with something like that spurns conversation. And I mean, again, there's a lot of truth into what he said, but it's for the point of stoking the flames a little bit.
Yeah, and again, he's under Clemson. I'm sure Clemson people have heard that. Now he's under their skin, and I'm sure the Clemson message boards are riled up, and they're all in arms and ready to go to Jocks or go to Birmingham and take down Paul Feinbaum. But yeah, all right, you got that. We'll play that again later. When we come back, we'll get into some more ACC Media Day, including James Franklin making quite the curious comment. It's the halftime show. Keep sending in your. We're going next week. Next week, we're going to have a tournament. Tyler and I and whoever's producing with us. We got all kinds of crazy stuff. I think Kale's with us some next week, and Jalen's with us some. Dave's with us some. As we try to we go through SEC Media Day. But we're going to have a tournament, and what I'm doing is I'm looking for the best 8 plays in South Carolina football history. We're going to narrow it down. We're going to come down to the best play next week in South Carolina football history, probably the week after if we do this correctly. But 8 plays. So far, I got 6. All right. Give you real quick so you don't have to send in the same one. I got 6. The fade, we know that. The hit, Geneva and Clowney. 3rd and Sellers. The flex, that's swear and you're flexing on Andre Ellington. The return is what I'm calling it. You can send me a better name if you want. That's Ace Sanders against Georgia. Over the top, Brandon Bennett. Thank you to Ricky Becker for sending that in to me. Pick 6. Brad Edwards, pick 6 in the 87 Clemson game. We've had a few other suggestions that I will see if they make the cut. The Melvin Ingram fake punt against Georgia. Think about it.
That's a good one, yeah.
Is it?
Yep,
All right.
that's a good one.
All right.
I've never seen a man that big move that fast before.
All right. I'm going to just write this down here because now we're trying to put this here, fake punt. Handwriting could be better.
Would you?
Hold on, one other one.
Okay.
And I don't know what to call this one, and it probably should be on there. As the Connor Shaw, but it didn't win the game. It tied it. And not that the other ones won the game. They're just, but the Connor Shaw touchdown pass to Bruce Ellington in 2013 at Missouri. Shaw comes off the bench. South Carolina's trailing to Missouri. Daniel Baggett misses the field goal at the very end. But Shaw throws to Ellington, makes truthfully, one of the more amazing catches. Probably why it actually needs to be on there. One of the more amazing catches in South Carolina history, because if you look at how he contorted his body and got his foot down for that, that was pretty amazing. I think that was, I want to say it was 4th and goal, but I want to say it was 4th and 15. It might have been 4th and, it was either, I'm about to look at it. It was either 4th and 25 or 4th and 15. But we need to come up with a, since we're being a little corny, we need to come up with a good name for that.
Okay.
I don't know if it's on the list. It's leaning. It's got a better chance than most. 25 yards. That was the touchdown pass.
Okay. Nothing's coming to mind.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. Keep sending in the plays that you remember specifically that should make the list of top plays, and then I'll rank these 1 through 8. I got an idea of how I'm going to rank them already. 1 through 8. Next week, what I'll do is we'll put it on Twitter early in the morning and run it for a day, and then the next day figure out who the winner is, and we'll move on to the next one and see what is the play.
Now, we could do this gauntlet style, or do you want everything to be head to head?
Yeah, I was going to do a head to head.
Okay.
8 play bracket. I'll go ahead and tell you the 1 seed. The 1 seed will be the hit.
Yeah, I think that'll be very popular.
The one seed will be the hit. Right now, I'm leaning depending on what we get for 7 or 8 is the pick 6 by Brad Edwards in 87. 803-404-6100. James Franklin's fun. I've been annoyed by Franklin at times, but it's just because like he says stuff and you're just like, what are you talking about? Like, what exactly are you referencing here? Well, now he's at Virginia Tech, where I think there's going to be less pressure, right? We would agree with that.
Yeah,
if you were talking about
less
pressure jobs, Virginia Tech expects to win.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's not like Penn State.
If James Franklin went through the next 5 years going like 8-4 every single year at Virginia Tech, nobody's talking about firing the guy. He got to a college football playoff semifinal and was gone before the year was over at Penn State because of what those expectations are. Yeah, pressure's way off at Virginia Tech compared to Penn State.
Yeah, so he gets to do that. Now, yesterday, this is just kind of a curious comment because, look, Penn State, what do you think? Probably not top 5, but top 10 programs with the most resources. I mean, look at what they paid to get him out of there.
Sure, yeah, arguably.
Top 10. So yesterday, James Franklin talks about getting to Virginia Tech and how it's kind of a breath of fresh air because at Virginia Tech, he's not trying to do more with less. He's trying to do more with more. Well, you listen to the comment and we'll figure it out. Here's James Franklin at ACC Media Days yesterday.
Early in my career, we always had to do more with less. And then when you get to a place like Virginia Tech, you gotta understand how to do more with more. And that's what we're all about. That's what we're going to embrace. And I think my background and experiences in 3 of the major conferences in college football, as well as my time in the NFL, I think is going to serve me well at Virginia Tech and hopefully put these players in the best position to be successful.
Yeah, that's an interesting comment, too, just real quick. I wonder how many other coaches, it used to be like you'd say 5 or whatever, but now that there's 4. How many other coaches in college football history have coached in at least 3? 2, I understand. That's one job jumping to another.
Yeah.
But it coached in 3 of the major conferences. Like Saban hit the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yep.
Never coached in the SEC. Never coached in the ACC. Mac Brown would be Big 12, Big 12 back in the day, and ACC. Just think about it. That's an interesting comment he made. Just interesting little trivial fact. That's got to be a very small list of guys that have coached, and in this day and age with team hopping.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about head coaches, and I'm talking again the power. You could go back to the Power 5 back in the day.
Would you count Sarkisian because the Big 12? They went from the Big 12 to the SEC while he was there, but also coached at Southern California.
No, I wouldn't count that.
Washington.
Yeah, I wouldn't count that.
All right. Like you've had to have gone
I do
to
agree.
3.
That's a good point.
You've had to have gone to 3 different places, basically.
Yeah. That was actually a very. You know who a second coach? Rich Rod. Big East, Big Ten.
Back when the Big East was a serious conference back then.
I guess technically he gets 4 because now he's in the Big 12.
Yeah.
But it's funny, he goes to where he was at Arizona and they were in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's
in modern college football, he may be one of the most well-traveled.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to come back, maybe put that one on the list for like 2 weeks. We'll get, I don't know if it's a topic for next week. Anyway, here's what I think with James Franklin saying that, but very, 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 very poor job of explanation. He does say early in his career. Well, where was early in his career? Vanderbilt.
What? If you're talking about head coaching, yes.
But, well, that's what I mean. And he says we had to do more with less. But he conveniently skips Penn State, where Virginia Tech's efforting now. They're making the effort to put more into their resource, their team. They're seeing all the fundraisers going on up there. You had a lot to work with, big boy.
Yes, you did. And, again, he still accomplished a lot. His biggest knock was, all right, well, when Ohio State or Michigan comes in, you can't beat those teams. You can't get over the hump of winning the games that take you to that next level of being the lead coach. Because I think everybody can agree James Franklin is a good football coach. And if he had continued at Penn State, last year was going to be a bit of a downer. I don't doubt that they would have consistently been winning 10 or so games and probably making the playoff at a regular clip. But there was no sign that he was going to get them to a national championship in the minds of the people at Penn State. And that was the reason why they ultimately moved on.
Yeah, 9-3. I'll come back to this. We don't have a quote from him, but it was kind of irrelevant. There's a stat that Brad Crawford put up yesterday about Dave Doran, and it's kind of similar to what we're talking about. I'll come back to it. But, yeah, with James Franklin, what you're essentially getting here is a guy who is going to – he's the what was the NFL coach that you were guaranteed to go 8-8?
Oh, Jeff Fisher.
Jeff Fisher.
Mr. 8-8.
Yeah. You were basically going to go 9-3 under James Franklin. Now, you might have 1 year again where you go 11-1, and you're right there in the mix. You might have 1 year where you go 7-5 because those injuries or something like last year. At Virginia Tech, if he sustains that success, the thing about him is he's going to recruit probably better than Virginia Tech has ever recruited.
At least in a while.
Frank Beamer, it's not that Frank Beamer recruited poorly. He got some big-time players. Kevin Jones was a running back that he got away from Penn State right after Michael Vick. Obviously, everybody knows Michael Vick. And he landed some other big-time players. James Franklin will recruit better. What does that cause Virginia Tech to do? We'll come back and finish some thoughts on ACC Media Day. And Caitlin, I'm going to give you this. Did you see this Dave Doran stat?
I did not.
I'll read it to you and see what you think. 803-404-6100 is the halftime show. You're telling me we've got tickets? Tickets, you say?
Yes, not sports tickets.
Oh, okay. All right. What do we got?
Chicago is performing at the True Lion Amphitheater in Charlotte tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. And right now on the text line, text in Chicago, 803-404-6100. If you're the first two, congratulations. You got yourself 4 tickets.
Okay. There you go.
Chicago fan at all? No?
Yeah. Couldn't even tell you a song by them.
I am going to True Lion in a month to see 5 Seconds of Summer.
I don't know what you just said.
Well,
you could give me all your money. You could, Bill, you get everything I own.
Yeah.
Tell me whatever you. Did you say True Lion?
True Lion Amphitheater.
That's in Charlotte. Is that
Charlotte,
what you just read?
Yes.
Okay.
True Lion Amphitheater in Charlotte.
Is that the regular amphitheater? They just changed, just like everything else. They changed names.
Maybe. I've never been before. I bought the tickets months
I've been
ago.
to the amphitheater in Charlotte. I don't know what I forget what it used to be called.
It may have been called something else. But yeah, I'm going there in like right at a month. I bought my wife for our anniversary tickets to see 5 Seconds of Summer.
Okay.
Which you obviously are not familiar with.
Oh no.
How old's your daughter? She's
16.
16. She might know them because they're boy bandish type thing.
Sounds boy bandish. 5 seconds.
So
yeah.
she might know.
Okay. All right. Well, text in right now. What do you want people to text?
Just Chicago.
Text Chicago. 803-404.
6100.
There you go. Send that in. Get yourself some Chicago tickets and have no football this week. Nothing this weekend.
Well, there's football.
Yeah. You think people are going to really be invested in this?
I think the Messi angle does a lot. And again, it's the final. Maybe if you've even been tuned out for the last couple weeks since America's been out, it's like, hey, it's the final event. Crowd's going to be crazy and all that kind of stuff. Again, last World Cup game for Messi. I think it's going to pull a really good number.
British Open taking place right now. I'll get you an update on that in just a minute. But sorry, I had to put some ice in my mouth to keep from choking. I don't know. This weekend, I think it's anticlimactic. If that makes sense.
Okay.
But again, let me repeat. I don't know how the viewership numbers work. If they're based only in America, like if that's what we're counting on here, or if there's a way to watch the world watching it. That's what I'd be more interested in because the world outside of America, is probably fascinated by this.
Oh yeah, well, and that's why the game's kicking off at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because you think about Spain, European countries being between 5 and 7 hours ahead. That's good primetime television for them. And that's and again, FIFA's the one that controls this. Like Fox has the rights to broadcast in America, and I'm not sure who the European partners are, Sky Sports or whatever, but they're probably going to pull insane numbers for this, going on at 8, 9 o'clock, depending on what country you're in.
Home Run Derby, we talked about that, comes back with the lowest ratings since 2003 watching the Home Run Derby. Is it because there's lack of interest or because it was on Netflix?
It's on
If you had to pick one of the two that was more important.
Oh, definitely that it's on Netflix. And that's not because, see people like, well, more people homes have Netflix than they have ESPN. Yeah, that's probably true. But there's something about promotion too, right? Like if this was on ESPN on Monday, then the days leading up when you're watching SportsCenter, Get Up, First Take, whatever it may be, guess what? You're going to get commercials. You're going to get advertisements in the bottom of the screen like we can see right now with the NBA Summer League. You're going to get it pushed in your face that, hey, the Home Run Derby is happening Monday night on ESPN. It's going to be more at the front of your mind than it was on Netflix. And to my knowledge, kind of looking around, I didn't see anything like that Netflix was doing to push it too hard themselves.
I didn't know where it was. I didn't know it was on Netflix.
I knew it was on Netflix some kind of way, but when you go into Netflix to watch something, it would have before you click on your profile, it'll flash up the advertisements of, hey, this show's coming or this movie's coming. That was on there. And when I went to watch it on Monday night, I clicked in and boom, it was right there. But yeah, it's harder to promote on Netflix than it is on ESPN and stuff like that. And I do think when you're talking about an event like this that, diehard baseball fans are gonna seek it out to watch it, but you're trying to catch a lot of casual interest too, because it's a fun, fast-paced type of event that, is all about home runs, that you get people flipping channels that say, oh, Home Run Derby, cool, I'll click on that. You're not getting that same thing on Netflix, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, I think the part you're talking about, Major League Baseball, and look, Major League Baseball has a massive problem with this. but was promotion. It is a legitimate promotion issue with Major League Baseball because, as you said, I went to flip on the TV that particular night, and I was like, I went over to where I would think it would be ESPN or wherever, and it wasn't. And then I flipped all the other channels, and it wasn't. And then I had to look it up via the internet. I was like, oh, Netflix. Mm-hmm. And I'm with you. The promotion part of it stunk. 803-404-6100, how you can weigh in on anything this afternoon. We'll come back, and we'll get into a little more from ACC Media Day, a few more Dabo quotes, too, including one about his quarterback that's really interesting. It's the halftime show. Final hour of the week. 50 days. 50 days until the start of college football season. Earlier, yeah, well, in the previous program, not even earlier, but in the previous program, you and Chris and Wes broke down game 50
Of the Beamer era.
of the Beamer era.
Yes.
Of the Beamer era. Something particularly important. Something that we've been talking a little bit about today, that we have created a topic on, occurred in game number 50. Kale, if you don't mind, let's hear clip number 6, a particularly important play, not just in the South Carolina Clemson game, but in South Carolina football history in general.
3 wide receivers over to the left side. Harbor over to the right. Sellers in the pocket. Up in the pocket, gonna run inside the 20, 10. Lenore Sellers going left side, 5. Touchdown, Carolina. Touchdown. Touchdown, Lenore Sellers. From 20 yards out, the Gamecocks take the lead at Death Valley with 1:08 to go in the ball game.
I love those guys. I do. I really, really do. I mean, like, how do I say this? And I'm saying it in the politest way possible, because no, they're not the most professional. They're not but Todd is a loyal Gamecock. There's a great article by Hal McGranahan on Gamecocks 247, Gamecock 24, whatever it is, Gamecocks 247, on his recruitment and why he chose South Carolina. And he was a stud recruit. Just Todd was a stud. I mean, this was a big time get for the Gamecocks. And then you've got a lifer in Tommy Suggs. You've got a lifer, like a guy who genuinely, I'm pretty sure, and literally bleeds garnet and black.
Right.
Like, and every time I hear a big call and I get to hear Tommy Suggs like lose it, I mean, that's no. How do I say this? That is love. That is a fit. That is what you want. I want homers. I want homers.
Yeah, well, especially in college sports, especially in the SEC, right? Because if you're listening to that broadcast, you're a fan of the team, right? It's unlikely. I assume it's unlikely that, like, I don't think Clemson fans are listening to that broadcast. Oh, can't wait to hear Todd and Tommy. You're a Gamecock fan listening to that. And look, this has happened around the SEC forever. We talked about Larry Munson earlier with Georgia, the late Rod Bramblett at Auburn, who of course had the iconic call on the pick six. Like, when those crazy moments happen, you want to hear the fan come out. And what you heard right there from Todd and Tommy, that was, especially Tommy, that was the fan coming out in the moment. And then it's like, okay, we got to reel this back in. We are doing a broadcast, got to reset the scene and all that. But that was a moment that they just got caught up in, which is fine. That's part of the job. And that's what adds to the specialness to it for a lot of people.
803-404-6100. Yeah, I play it one more time. Hit me back, Kale. This because, unfortunately, I guess we could go with the in the Virginia Tech game, the Kari Swain punt return, or I guess you could go with the Harbor long touchdown. But really, this here is the last great moment in South Carolina football.
No, this is the last great moment in South Carolina men's athletics. 19 months ago or whenever that was. This was the last time this fan base on the men's sports side of thing had true, genuine joy. Was this day.
Oh.
Am I lying?
I think you're right. It gets lost because of how the rest of the season went, but if you're just talking like genuine joy, first game of the South Carolina Clemson baseball series.
Okay.
But it gets lost.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. There are small moments of like, that was cool, that was fun, but like in terms of things that joy that lasted, right? Because when that happened, you thought you still had the ability to make the playoff, which again wasn't going to be announced until a week later. So like you were riding the high of that for
Right.
a whole week
Yeah.
afterwards. Again, disappointing he didn't make the playoff, but like, hey, great bowl game.
You're riding it all the way
10
to the-
wins.
yeah.
You're riding it all the way to the Citrus Bowl a month later. Like, that was the last time I think this fan base, again, we're not talking women's sports here because we know what Dawn and her crew's done and what softball did last year, 2 years ago now and all that. But for men's sports, that was the last, like, time of pure joy.
Hit me again with it one time, Kale.
3 wide receivers over to the left side. Harbor over to the right. Sellers in the pocket. Up in the pocket. Gonna run inside the 20. 10. Lenore Sellers going left side. 5. Touchdown, Carolina. Touchdown. Touchdown, Lenore Sellers. From 20 yards out. The Gamecocks take the lead at Death Valley with 1:08 to go in the ball game.
I love it, man. They're great. They're great. I don't listen. I used to take a headset into the games and listen to them call plays. I don't do that anymore. I think I don't do it because my son goes with me and I talk to him now throughout the game. But love it. Don't change. It's unique. It's unique. I say unique. It's more unique than it used to be because Tyler, it used to be your announcers, Bob Fulton, Larry Munson, go on and on and on. They were homerish guys.
Yeah.
Back in the day, they were homerish guys. And so, anyway, 803-404-6100. I tell you what, just for the sake of it, that was the play of the game. That's the one we all remember. But there was one to close out the game on that particular day.
Shining on his helmet. They're all about into the shadows. In the pocket, rolling right side, throws underneath. Is the ball picked up?
Got it!
It is! The Gamecocks have got it on a turnover. They shut it down at Death Valley with a pick with 12 seconds to go in the ball game, and Carolina leading 17-14.
Same thing with Missouri. Rolling on the field is an interception by the defense. First down, South Carolina.
All right. Tyler brought up a good point, and it's scary. I would probably say the last moment was the baseball game this past year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it gets completely wiped out because of what would then follow, and then the season that they had, and then so forth and so on. But anyway, that's got to change. It's got to change. And boy, does it have to change for all of men's sports. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in on any of those topics. We've had 2 different topics out there today that we've mainly discussed. That is, number 1, South Carolina, Mississippi State. That's what we spent the whole first hour. I spent the whole first hour on South Carolina, Mississippi State. Interesting series. And, Tyler, we're going to really start next week getting in depth, really start breaking stuff down. We've already had a couple people on, going back to, anyway, the guy, Mike, I'm blanking also who we had Monday from LSU,
Moscona.
and Yancey Porter from Mississippi State, from Mississippi, and so forth and so on. We've had a couple people on. We'll really start getting into it next week. So we start. How much do you, real quick before I go to the back down this road, how much do you and I do you think do we really get into Kent State and Towson, knowing the importance of the Mississippi State game? Because Tyler, quite frankly, and you can do this for a lot of games.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the most important of his career. That's the most important of his career. That's the most important of his career. It's fair to call Mississippi State maybe one of the most important games in Shane Beamer's 5 years here because you set the tone for the season. This is a game you're going to be favored in by probably a touchdown, if not more. It's a home game. It's late in the afternoon, so you don't say, oh, it's an early kick. Maybe the crowd's dead. 4:15 kick. You're going to like that. South Carolina should be the better team here. Losing, you've been around long enough. You know what doing radio after a loss like that would mean, and that's why I might want to refrain that.
I don't want to have to do that Monday.
Right.
Trust me.
I always say, unfortunately, the show is easier to do and better when they do lose because you guys want to complain more than you want to praise. But the truth being is you really, honestly, we've circled certain games. Oh, this is the most important. That's the most important. Oh, this means something. The mood, it sets the tone for the season. Even though you're 2 games in and with a trip to Alabama on deck, it's very fair to say that that's the most important game of Shane Beamer's career.
Well, if you lose that game, you're behind the 8 ball.
Well, that too, yeah.
We have an idea of teams that you have a good chance to beat, teams that you're going to have trouble beating, and teams that it could be kind of a toss-up. And we look at Mississippi State like, okay, that's a game you should probably win. Now, again, when you go to Alabama, just after that, all right, that's a little bit more of a toss-up, even though you have played them close the past couple games. But if you lose to Mississippi State and start off 0-1 in conference play, it's like, okay, now your margin for error just got a whole lot thinner, and there's way more tougher teams coming later down the season. So, yes, the importance of starting conference playoff with a win is huge. And again, you're probably going to go out there and beat Kent State and Towson, an average like 48-7 or something like that. At least we hope so. If they don't, then we're talking about an Old Dominion situation again. Those Mondays aren't going to be fun either.
Yeah.
But if you handle your business there, fine, whatever. It's about those 10 games after that. And we teetered, I think, on Beamer losing a lot of fans last year with how we handled the Mike Shula situation. You come out and lose to Mississippi State in game number 1. The good grace you've built with this fan base in the offseason, the changes you've made, I think goes out the window for a lot of people real quick.
That's what I'm saying. I think I really haven't thought about it in that manner of it being the most important, but I think you've got a fan base already going on that's apprehensive, that's positive. I think it's become positive, but it's apprehensive.
Yeah.
And it's almost that first negative thing that happens, the fan base is going to point to that instead of multiple positive things.
Yeah, they are. And again, like you said, apprehensive. They're like, okay, I'm excited. We did a lot of good stuff. I see where this can go right, but they're all waiting for that other shoe to drop. And unfortunately, in the history of this fan base, those kind of things have happened a lot to where you're like, okay, yeah, of course we lost to Mississippi State by 2 touchdowns, and we're going to go get smoked by Alabama, and we're going to go into the bye week with, no conference wins, and the season's going to go off the rails there. Like, I think that a lot of people in the back of their minds are fearing that kind of thing happening. And again, even beating Mississippi State doesn't alleviate all those concerns because you still got a lot more tough tests to go. But that at least checks one box. If you can get that game out of the way and win it at home, okay, now you're going to head on the road for some tougher challenges, but you handled your business there.
Yep, 803-404-6200. So I had asked first hour there, because then I put it on Twitter as well. South Carolina is 10-7 in this series. Really interesting series. More interesting given that there's really no connection with Mississippi State. It's not like at least with South Carolina and Arkansas when they played, you would be like, well, we joined the conference at the same time. There's that. You even had a coaching connection with Lou Holtz being the head coach at Arkansas and South Carolina. It's kind of irrelevant, but I'm just saying small connections there with Arkansas. Mississippi State, there's never really any bond. There was never anything really there that built it. Yet it's been actually a really fascinating series from the standpoint of Mississippi State won 6 the first 8. They dominated the 90s. South Carolina has in turn dominated this century, winning 8 of the last 9. And all the way back to 92, though, some of South Carolina's biggest, I don't know if biggest wins is the right way, but games that had some kind of significance. The fade. I was in the stadium. People still say to this day that's the loudest that stadium got. That's like if you talk about the loudest wins, right? That play will forever be mentioned. Eric Kimry is a forever hero because of that play.
Yep.
Post 9/11 game, just the importance of what that game meant to the country. Like that, it's one thing to just go play Mississippi State on a Thursday night. I think that game was already scheduled for that. It'd just been another game if 9/11 did not happen. It wasn't. It was not just another game. You can't just shrug it off and say it's another game. And then again, South Carolina's first ever SEC victory in '92 against Mississippi State. Really strange that that's the team. So there is bonds there. I just don't think we realize them. So how would you rank those 3 wins? A lot of y'all are going with the fade, and I think that's the wrong answer. I think you're wrong. I think the fade is third. That was a great game. Again, I mentioned that South Carolina actually played very poorly that day. Had a lot of penalties. Derek Watson ran a kickback, and it got called back for a holding. And also people forget one reason I have to put that third too is the fade made it 20-19. South Carolina drove down the field.
Yeah.
And had a chance to really put the game away, and instead had to settle for a field goal. So there was actually an extra score after that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, I've heard ad nauseum about that play since I've been here for the past 4 years. It's certainly one of, and again, we're going to have our competition next week of greatest plays in Gamecock history, and that one's up there. And again, when games have those kind of moments, they live on, longer in the history of the fans.
So 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in on that. Also, we got our plays going on, but when we come back, we'll get back into ACC Media Day, get back into Dabo Swinney. We don't got much else to talk about, and it's football season, and he talked football. Thank you, Dabo, for giving us some content. Paul Feinbaum weighed in, too. We'll let you hear that. It's the halftime show. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, that company that's been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry for over 30 years. You heard that right, 30 years of being the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Now, there's a lot of reasons. They're fantastic at their work. I always point to customer service, how you treat your customers, what you do for them, how you're there in times of need. And that is where Mid-State Roofing shines, being ready to help you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because it's not like you can just climb up on the roof and patch a leak yourself. You need professionals, and that's why Mid-State Roofing understands that. You might get a leak at midnight or at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. You need somebody that's there to help you right then and there. So give them a phone call and go ahead and be proactive. Line up a maintenance contract. 803-356-1919. Again, that's 803-356-1919. Call Mid-State Roofing today and tell them Bill Gunner sent you. ACC Media Days taking place, giving us some football content. James Franklin giving us a little content. Dabo Sweet. Yeah. Oh, I didn't give you that stat real quick.
Yeah.
Let me
What's
go
the
back to
stat?
this before we go to Dabo. So one of the stats, Brad Crawford put this out. And I mean, I know what to make of it, but I'm kind of interested to hear your opinion on it. Dave Doeren is a guy who has done some really good things at NC State, right?
Yep.
I mean, he's solid coach. He's been there now a while. He's becoming a very tenured coach at North Carolina State. For those that forget, he joined. He was there in 2013. 95-70 overall record. I want you to hold that in your head for a second.
Okay.
95-70. 51-55 in conference. 95-70. Now, all time, I guess this is all time. Brad actually wasn't specific because Dave Doeren was at Northern Illinois for 2 years. I don't know how many ranked teams he played there. Dave Doeren against ranked teams, top 25 teams, 9-31.
Whew. Well, kind of like our conversation the other day when we were having about Beamer and his record.
Right.
Like, okay, you have to take into account, like, all right, probably playing some of those Clemson teams that were elite and winning national championships, Florida State when they were really good. So that's probably accounting for a probably decent amount of those games. But when you throw that stat out there at me, it's just like, I mean, what is he, James Franklin South? Because, like, he's good. He's pretty consistent. He wins around, 8 to 9-ish games. Now, he had some bad seasons mixed in there, but, 8, 9 wins, not something out of the blue. Goes to bowl games pretty much every single year, but, he's not a threat, it seems like, to break through the top of the ACC. And, like, hey, now we're going to play for the ACC championship game and go to the college ball playoff. Like, it doesn't seem like that program's in position to do that.
You want to know what Lane Kiffin's record is?
I know it's not
better.
great either.
It's better. His entire career, I was saying, I guess, 13-25.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I couldn't put Lane Kiffin in that top 10 the other day.
Yeah.
His record at Mississippi against top 10, or excuse me, top 10, top 25 was 11-24.
Yep.
But interesting stat: ACC has one coach. This is easy. Has one coach that is above 500 against ranked teams.
Probably Dabo,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
What is that? I'm trying to. That's not normal, right? I mean, I don't expect everybody to be above. Like, people have to lose, but that's not 6-7 over here with my hands. Yeah. But that's not normal, right?
It seems abnormal, yeah. But, I mean, when you think about it, because what are the most successful ACC programs in the past 10 or so years? Clemson, obviously. Dabo's still there. And God, Jimbo leaving for A&M was almost a decade ago. But when he was there, obviously, they were doing a lot of winning and being successful there until the very, very end. But, like, I mean, there aren't in the ACC right now a ton of coaches that have had high-level success within that conference. You know what I mean? Like, Mario Cristobal is looking like the dominator of the conference right now. We know what Brett Lashley was able to do getting SMU to the playoff a couple years ago. But, like, I mean, outside of Dabo, like, who, and again, I know James Franklin had success at Penn State, but, like, who is the other guy in that conference is like, yeah, this has been like the second best guy in the past decade or whatever.
So if you go through the ACC's coach, and again, I feel free to weigh it. To me, there's no wrong answer on this because I don't know what. I think it's relevant. I just don't know what the answer is. But it's ACC football coaches' career records against top 25 opponents. Rhett Lashley is 5-5, so he's at least at 500.
Okay.
After that, there's nobody. Brent Key, 7-8.
Okay.
Mario Cristobal, 15-9. Jeff Brom, 12-17. Fran Brown, Syracuse, 3-5. James Franklin, 17-29. Tony Elliott, 3-6. Bill O'Brien, 4-8. Manny Diaz, 5-11. Mike Norvell, 9-20. Pat Narduzzi at Pittsburgh, 11-24. James Dickert, 4-10. And Dave Doeren, 9-31.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's weird.
Like I said, there's something there, but I'm not sure what it is right now.
And to my question about, like, okay, who would you say is like, oh, this has been the second best guy for the past decade or whatever in the ACC? Is it Narduzzi? They did make that one ACC championship game. They won it with small hands. Kenny Pickett. Yeah. I guess you'd say him. Like, in terms of like, hey, there's Dabo, and then who's after him?
Well, I think you'd go Cristobal right now.
Well, but it's like a shorter period of time. I'm like, over a length of time of like the past decade.
Tenured.
Yeah, like it's probably Narduzzi.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I would, yeah, because he's one. I'd give him that over Doran because he's won an ACC championship. I mean,
Yeah, because Cristobal's only going into, what, year 5?
is it even that long? I don't think it's that long. Yeah, in terms of tenured coach, of course, to be honest with you, if you look at it, when you say that, I had Doran, Narduzzi's not at 10 years. Nobody else has been there 10 years.
No.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I said you might have to back your stat up to like 5 years.
Maybe.
With
If that's
given
the case,
given
then
this
yeah, it'd
group.
be, well, if that's the case, I mean, Cristobal's ahead of Dabo at that point if we're talking 5 years.
Well, Dabo wasn't in. Yeah, Dabo wasn't in the ESPN top 10 coaches most recently, but Cristobal was in there. I think tied for number 10 is what we looked at.
Yeah.
803-404-6100. How
Did you
you
realize
can?
Kurt Roper is the OC at NC State right now?
That one's fun. At where?
NC State.
Yeah. You know who the OC at North Carolina is?
Oh, it's Petrino, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting dynamic.
I think the offensive coordinators in the ACC might be more interesting than the head coaches. Chad Morris,
Yeah. he's
Bobby
back.
Petrino.
Yep.
You just mentioned, just from our standpoint, nobody else would care about Kurt Roper, but just from our standpoint. 803-404-6100. We'll come back and get into those Dabo clips a little bit. Make fun of Clemson on a Friday. Why not? It's the halftime show. Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air, the company that I am the most in love with. Why? Because I hate being hot. Boy, do I despise being hot, but I really despise being cold, too. So AAA Heating and Air came out to the house about 5 years ago, put in a brand-new Trane heating and air unit, and it has kept the house nice and cool during the summer and lovely and warm during the winter. And therefore, Gunner family, very happy. Trust me, I wouldn't recommend calling anybody else, but AAA Heating and Air. The professionalism is second to none. From cleanup to the start of the process, they were phenomenal, and they know what they're doing. Right now, get 12 months, no payments, no interest, guaranteed financing, and a 15-year parts and labor warranty. Get in touch with them today via the web. Call AAAtoday.com. Again, that's call AAAtoday.com. So this past offseason, Dabo, Sweeney, and Clemson faced a situation that, quite frankly, Tyler, we assume, don't forget, Lenore Sellers has another year of eligibility.
Yes.
But we assume South Carolina's about to face this year, or after this year, going into 2017. So interesting to see how Dabo chose to handle it. Unproven Christopher Vezina is the guy. You could have gone to the portal like everybody else and gotten a more proven product.
Yep.
A more proven commodity. Dabo has chosen to go with Christopher Vezina. South Carolina's going to face the same thing, we assume.
Sure.
We're under the assumption Lenore Sellers is going to be gone, and you're going to have Cutter Woods, unproven, or you're going to have Landon Duckworth. Or you're going to go to the portal, and as it is every year, you're going to have high-profile quarterbacks jumping in, looking to see who will pay them the most. It actually will be very interesting to see what South Carolina does. Dabo's sticking up for his guy. Here's Dabo yesterday at ACC Media Days talking about going with Christopher Vezina as his quarterback.
CV's been great. He really has. I mean, listen, I know y'all write about it. I know y'all talk about it. You know, we have fans that talk about it. At the end of the day, you got to make decisions. When you can't make decisions that please everybody, and if you want to fail drastically, try to do that. And we made a decision that, you know, we weren't going to go and get some shiny, you know, object at quarterback. Well, we understand that. And if it doesn't work out, we're going to be just raked over the coals for that. But, you know, you got to make decisions that you believe in. And, you know, we always do what we think at Clemson is best for our team, for the long-term health of our team and organization, et cetera. And there's a reason why we had confidence in the decision that we made. And that's because we're there every day. And
he's honest. He knows it. He knows he knows the decision. I love that. I love that. That is,
sure.
You know, that is not hiding from the decision that they have made. I don't know how good Vezina is personally. I think it's going to be a struggle. I think it's going to be, that's me personally. But he does have two stud wide receivers to throw to, and TJ Moore and Bryant Wesco Jr. So that'll ease some of it. But South Carolina fans,
not bad either.
Huh?
Tyler Brown's not bad either.
Yeah. South Carolina fans, you're going to be dealing with the same situation all season. What direction would you want to go?
Well, and here's the thing. Let's go back to when Spencer Rattler moves on and goes to the NFL. And we had a lot of confidence that, hey, that Sellers guy's probably going to be pretty good. But even in that offseason, Shane Beamer still went out and got an experienced veteran in Robbie Ashford to challenge for the spot. Now, again, we thought Sellers was going to still win the job anyway, and he did. Right. But Robbie Ashford was like, hey, in case the Sellers kid doesn't work out, we have an experienced veteran here that we can turn to. Now, thankfully, they only had to use him, you know, when Sellers got banged up early in the season, but that option was there. So they're going into this year with not a ton of experience in that quarterback room. And there's belief that Tate Reynolds, their young guy,
right,
you know, might be the next guy, might be the next, you know, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, whatever it may be, but you don't know that yet. And I understand having confidence in Vezina, and he started the one game last year against SMU and did have a pretty good stat line, even though they lost that game, but that's only a one-game sample size. Doesn't tell you everything about. Remember, DJU had a great game against Notre Dame when he filled in for Trevor Lawrence, and that didn't tell us what DJU was going to be when he ended up getting the full-time quarterbacking gig. But if nothing else, going out there and getting a veteran to have in your room, like, hey, just in case CV doesn't end up being a good quarterback, we have a guy that we know we can turn to with experience. And I think that's something that's going to bug the fan base. If this quarterback situation doesn't work out this year, you may not have reliable options around you.
I relate this back to what South Carolina's decision that they're going to make, because it's going to be similar. Landon Duckworth's going to be a redshirt freshman. Cutter Woods is going to be a redshirt sophomore, and then you're going to have Jerry Meyer III coming in as a true freshman. So you're not bringing in a guy for depth. Right? You're not bringing now, they also have, does Lucian Anderson have an extra year, by the way?
I think he might.
We forget about him because he got brought in, and we already are on because we talk so much about Cutter Woods, and we talk so much about Lenoris being the guy. Remember, South Carolina did take a transfer portal quarterback in Lucian Anderson. But with again, going back with that being said, next year you have a huge decision to make. I do wonder for fans, not for the coaches, because they're not. Shane Beamer's not going to let what Clemson did decide this situation. But do fans watch Clemson a little bit and be like, ooh, because if Vicina goes down,
Yeah.
like you said, Tate Reynolds is the next guy. By the way, Anderson is a redshirt junior, so technically he is back for a 4-man class next year. And Jimmy Francis, who I'm pretty sure has been around since around 2005, is only a redshirt sophomore somehow.
Yeah. I think if nothing else, you go out there and just for, like I said, the safety aspect of it, have a veteran come in. And again, maybe he's not your starter, but you at least have somebody that's saying, hey, this guy started, a season for this school or whatever it may be, that you can turn to in case your other options don't end up working out. And, the way Dabo kind of positioned, those shiny objects out there. I don't know if you checked, shiny objects are winning national championships.
Sure.
Shiny objects are winning Heisman trophies. That's what college football is now. More often than not, to win at the highest level, you got to have a transfer quarterback.
I'm not arguing with you. And so we'll see how it plays out. I do love that Dabo, like I said, hey, we're going to get raked over the coals. Now, be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Because Paul Feinbaum's tired of hearing about what you did do.
That's right.
He's had enough of he knows about your success. It's not about your success anymore. It's about the here and now. Here is Dabo. This is Dabo, Kale. So let's go to number 2. This is Dabo talking about Clemson beating
Feinbaum.
No. I want Dabo first.
Oh, you want Dabo first.
I want to hear Dabo first, all right? Because Dabo said this yesterday, and then that's what leads into Feinbaum this morning. So here's Dabo yesterday talking about meeting expectations at Clemson.
It's not about what we say. And, haters hate, right? As I said, there's a bunch of hate. I don't know who wrote that song, but, the one thing about haters, when you win, it don't matter what they say. And when you lose, it don't matter what you say. So don't focus on that. Just focus on let's go get better. And the good news is, hey man, we've got a lot to stand on. We've won this league 3 times this decade. And we talk about all that we haven't done. And even with 7 wins last year, we're still one of the top 10 winningest programs in college football this decade. We're 7th in wins. And I think we're 2nd in championships this decade. Georgia's first, we're 2nd. We're number 1 in draft picks. We're number 1 in graduation. We're number 1 in retention. Now, these aren't like make-believe things, all right? So, but you know what else is true? We stunk last year. That's true, too. We've lost some games that, man, we should have won. But how about we give the opponent some credit? How about we give some other coaches some credit? Football is not easy. It's hard. We've had 15 winning seasons in a row, and I think there's only 4 teams out of 138 that can say that. 15. It's not easy to win. So we're not perfect, and y'all know I'm far from perfect. But we're consistent, and it's a new year. We're excited about it, and hey, we're put our head down, see if we can go find a way to win some games.
Okay, there was that. Some truth to it.
Sure.
Some pointing back to what he's done, saying, hey, Clemson, you need me more than I need you.
Yeah.
I've done a lot for you. Well, Paul Feinbaum heard it. Now, again, how you want to consume Paul Feinbaum and take him is up to you. But if you're a Carolina fan and you just need a little laughing content on a Friday, here's Paul Feinbaum this morning on Get Up with Mike Greenberg and that whole cast, addressing what Dabo Swinney said yesterday.
Somebody should dunk him in that Raising Cane sauce, because I am getting so just exasperated listening to Dabo tell us how great he used to be. They're not great anymore. You don't hear Brady talking about his Super Bowls or LeBron or any of the great. I mean, Dabo is just stuck on stupid right now, trying to convince us that his program is still legitimate. It's not. It's slipping and sliding away. It's good. Maybe they'll win 9 games this year. Maybe they won't. But they lost 6 games last year with the Heisman favorite. That is downright embarrassing.
I got to admit, what does he say? Stuck on stupid.
Stuck on stupid. That's a good one.
It feels like Paul's got a little bit of a personal vendetta. It feels Paul's harboring a more ill will toward Dabo than maybe he does to some other people.
Well, and look, Dabo in the past year or so has said a lot of things that are very easy to attack, and I think Paul Feinbaum takes the opportunity to do that quite a bit. But, I mean, to a point, and the point that he's making about comparing him to, Tom Brady and LeBron and stuff like that, like, the more you have to bring up things you've done in the past, the more likely you're not having success right now. And again, we've heard a lot in the past year or so, like, hey, remember, we won national championships, made all those playoffs, won the ACC. Like, yeah, that's great. That's cool to look at in the trophy case, but, like, what does that mean for this moment right now?
Right.
That's not what your fans want to hear.
Well, it goes back to when I was talking earlier about just the interest of this college football season because of now what's going on with spending money. Now, Clemson isn't spending like Texas and Ohio State and some of the few others. I mean, Alabama really isn't even spending, to be telling the truth, isn't like those schools. But you look at so many coaches. You look at so many coaches in this country. Dabo's in there. Dabo's in there with Sark.
Yep.
9-3 ain't good enough. It's playoff or bust. Kalen DeBoer, 9-3 ain't good enough. It's playoff or bust. And Lane Kiffin, year one, doesn't matter. We spent $50 million on a roster. It's playoff or bust. And so with you think about just throw Lincoln Riley in there. Lincoln Riley seems to be on a cooler seat there, but he still hasn't made a playoff and hasn't made. I mean, haven't been in the conference that long to say, well, he hadn't made a Big Ten championship game, but they haven't really been in contention either.
Not really. No, they're kind of in that second tier of like good, but like nobody's considering them a threat for Indianapolis.
Yeah, again, it's not. It's a little early to say. Wow, it's a little early to say for Lincoln Riley and them. Well, you hadn't made one. That you're a disaster there. Because again, what is it? What is this? Year 4, I believe. Year 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, but he's in there. So you've got mega jobs, mega coaches, supposedly, that are like literally under the spotlight, and probably Lincoln Riley's on the hottest of the hot seats when it comes to those, I would think.
Yeah.
Kalen DeBoer signed that big extension, and so I'm going to assume he's not going to get fired because it's always interesting to see who's going to come up with what money to buy someone out.
I say never. We learned that last year.
Right. 803-404-6100. We'll come back and we'll wrap up the whole thing, get you set for next week down in Tampa. You're listening to The Halftime Show. Open Championship taking place. I'm still called the British Open. It's officially the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale. I'm actually watching a video right now. John Rahm has just thrown a golf club. Impressive form, too.
It's one of those kind of days, huh?
Yeah, John Rahm, not
between that
not
and
living
between Rory verbally saying how much he sucked at golf last week,
that was funny.
they're just like us, man. They're not that different.
That was actually Rory doing that because I mean, obviously we know he doesn't suck, but yeah, that was pretty entertaining. Lucas Herbert, I watched this morning. Shot a 62, had a great look at it for 61. 8 under, leads the way. Cam Young has wrapped up his day with a 67, matching 67s. He's 2 back at 66. Jackson Suber, kind of the storyline of the tournament, 69 today. He is 2 back at 6 under. Sam Burns, who also shot a 62. Today he chipped in on 18 to get that score, so it wasn't like he had a putt at it. He is at 5 under, along with Bryson DeChambeau, who is 2 under through 16 today. And Chambeau throwing his usual temper tantrum in the ways only he can do. Yesterday, refusing to meet with the media, except for the RNA's official media group, who basically asked him, how tough is the course? Are you happy with your like all the tough questions? Yes, yeah. All the tough questions you would expect of a man who's quite controversial.
Well, you know what? It's good to have people you can hate.
I've told you, I want him back on the tour.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Rahm, I want him back. I want him back, not because I'm a huge DeChambeau fan, but because he is a villain. Like he's polarizing.
Yeah.
People love him.
Yeah.
Or people dislike him. I just said he's a villain. Clearly you see my side of it, or how I feel about it. But he is someone that you will tune in to root against, and we need in every sport someone that you tune in to root against. And DeChambeau's that guy, and he's really good at being that guy.
Yes.
I think he's really good at being that guy without trying to be that guy, in fact, which makes it even better.
Well, it's authentic.
Yeah.
Like he's not trying to be something. Like he's not, okay, I'm going to go be the bad guy out there and I'm going to act a certain way. Like, no, it's just his personality, right? It's like same thing with Patrick Reed. Like Patrick Reed is just like a not like good dude personality-wise, and he's disliked by a lot of people on the tour. He's disliked by a lot of the fans. Like it just happens naturally.
I don't want him to win. Let me make that very clear. I'm not pulling for him to win in the slightest. I do like that he's up there and he gives us something to cheer about. A few other names from today that have wrapped up. Scotty Scheffler, by the way, he's in the mix. 4 back. He's 4 back through 6. Well, 2 under today through 16, 4 back total. So he's going to be kind of right there going into the weekend. Ludwig Oberg had a nice day today with a 66. He's 3 under. He's kind of back there as well. So you've got some names creeping up that leaderboard, but now kind of the unknowns. Lucas Herbert and Jackson Suber, can they kind of hang around now where the pressure really starts to ramp on a course that looks a lot of fun? It looks great out there. Definitely a place that now I don't know if it's Royal Birkdale or one of the other courses over there that is on the rotation, but definitely making that a bucket list item just as I get older and when I get healthy, being able to go and attend that. So that's where we stand right now with the Open Championship. And again, you can see it on golf.com. The John Rahm throw, which by the way, Rahm, when he threw the club, let's see if he's wrapped up the hole here. Rahm was +3 and heading toward being cut. And I don't see his name right off the bat, so he might have dropped even more, given that I saw that. Jordan Spieth, by the way, did you see the Jordan Spieth tracker account? These are like super fanboy accounts.
Yeah. No, I looked at the leaderboard this morning, and he's got to scroll a bit to find him.
Yeah, he is +5, and will miss the cut as the defending champion at Royal Birkdale, not defending champion, but the champion there at Royal Birkdale. So there's some Open Championship updates heading into the weekend. You get that. You get Argentina and Spain. You want to take a prediction on this?
Oh, I'm going Argentina with Messi scoring.
Boy. See, I actually think Spain's going to win, but it's like you're playing with fire.
I'm rooting for the story here.
You're playing with a lot of fire here because Argentina has shown that they're dead in the water and promptly come back up, come and have it. Rahm, by the way, 3 under. I couldn't read the score, but it was 3 under, not +3. So he's right there in the mix, 2 under through 16. Yeah, I'll take Spain.
Okay.
I'll take Spain, but Argentina and Messi would be quite the storyline, provided they are able to win. Next week in Tampa, we got a lot going on. You got a particular storyline that we're looking for?
Oh, man. I don't know. Who's going to be the best quote next week? Got a lot of candidates.
It'll be Shane.
Think it'll be Shane?
I think everybody. Lane's gonna. I just don't see the Lane situation going well. That's gonna be, I think, a little more contentious because obviously he's not gonna want to talk Mississippi.
Yeah.
And you're gonna put him in that big room, and I don't foresee him poking the bear. I could be wrong. Lane's a wild card, but I don't foresee him poking the bear. Then you start going through everybody else, and we're going to get a lot of politically correct answers and efforts to not.
Listen, every team's great. These guys are looking strong.
Great summer.
It's the best team I've ever been around.
Every team had the best summer. Workouts were great.
We'll play Coach Talk Bingo next week.
Y'all have a great weekend. I think it's going to be hot out there. Stay cool. Keep the pets cool. We'll be back on Monday. Y'all take care.